So I think that's a good place to start. Welcome to the Rhymes with the Green podcast. We'd like to remind you to please walk, don't run when it's wet around the pool at all times. And so today I'm with the musical artist Julian Calv. He is a singer, musician, and an all-around a good guy.
Try to be.
And so you've got some interesting kind of music that you've kind of found in your musical studies that you've kind of now taken up, helping to continue the legacy of, and that artist is Moondog. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came to find the art of Moondog?
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I am a musician all around. I kind of grew up in, I wouldn't say like a heavily musical family, but my father, he's like a keyboard and piano player. I didn't get to see much of him like performing growing up. He was mostly like working a job, taking care of his family, but I always kind of got small glimpses into his lifestyle that he lived. So music has always been very central to my family. My grandfather played organ growing up too, so it was always cool being able to visit him and play around with the electronic organ at his house. But I've always been very interested in music. I always loved it and always kind of had like that feeling growing up of like, oh, I don't have the talent or I don't have that like music gene kind of thing. But I got into music theory when I was in high school. I took a class for it and it kind of like opened the floodgates for an understanding of music that made sense for me. And then I just stuck with it since then. Moondog, he was an American composer, born in 1916, died in 99, so he's 20th century. And he was a beautiful synthesis of, beatnik street poet mixed with classical discipline. He was a poet first. He was a blind musician who moved to New York in the 1940s and really made a name for himself out there playing concerts, writing his own original music. And then he lived out the rest of his life out in Europe from like the 1970s to 99 when he passed away. Very influential, a lot of other musicians and contemporaries of the 20th century and the 21st century still remember him, have seen him in concerts, and he's a big inspiration for me, huge.
So an instrument that you've come around to using is the trimba, which is an instrument that Moondog invented himself. What is it, and like, is yours the same, or how does it differ?
Yeah, so the trimba it's an instrument that Moondog invented specifically to accompany his music. He never liked the idea necessarily like a drum kit being played along with like orchestral or chamber music, but he did like the idea of a beat-centric kind of classical sound. His father was an Episcopal minister, a missionary who did missionary work at a few different Native American reservations. So he was doing work at the Arapaho Reservation in the early 1900s, and Moondog went with his father for this trip, sat in the lap of Chief Yellowcalf, who was the chieftain at the time, and got to play on a big tom drum using a maraca during a Sundance ceremony, which is it's a ceremony that they do. That later became the creation of this instrument, the trimba. He knew he wanted these drums to go ahead and accompany his music. He was kind of a part-time street performer, so he needed an instrument that could work on the streets with him. So he originally built a set of 2 square drums out in Salt Lake City, Utah, and he built it in the bathroom of a police station out of old wooden pieces from a piano that was scrapped. And one of the officers actually walked in and helped him out with finishing up the drums, but the square drums worked a lot in the heat and in the cold because he was outside a lot. So later on, he changed them to triangular drums, and that's kind of where the trimba originated from. He would attach them together and then use this as a means to accompany maybe a string quintet or maybe 4 vocalists who were singing a vocal round. And so now my trimba, it's not Moondog's actual trimba that he played on, but it's a recreation of the trimba that Moondog later built with his protege Stefan Lakatos in the 80s So my trimba is actually, it's a little smaller than Moondog's. I built it before I was prefaced with the information of how to properly build a trimba. So it's a little smaller. My big drum isn't as low as the actual big drum on the trimba, and then my high drum is actually a little lower than the higher pitch of the high drum on the original trimba itself. So it's kind of like an imitation one that was built based off of what I could understand visually about the trimba I would see pictures of, and then having a rough estimate of how tall my mentor Stefan was and being able to see him side by side to in pictures, so I can make some rough estimations for like the measurements for it.
That's pretty cool. So then have you gone back and like tweaked it to make it more official then? Or?
Yeah, I've done like a few adjustments to it, because originally when I attached the two drums together, the small one would always wobble a lot, so I kind of put in another spoke to be able to keep it more in place. And I realize now I honestly need like a full third one to really keep it fully locked in. But aside from that, I haven't gone back and like adjusted the actual wooden bodies. Originally, I was confused about what drum heads to use, so I used goat skin. But the original trimba has leather skin that's used for the drum heads. But traditional leather I was using would elicit more of like a djembe type of tone, which is a very high pitched tone, and the trimba is supposed to be a very warm, lower type of tone. So there's a specific leather that Stefan would use from Sweden that helps get that tone, and the way that the leather is prepared as well.
Wow. And you said that's from Sweden. Is there like is there a specific type of cow or something? Or
yeah,
like...
I mean, it's specifically he had this one shop in Stockholm he would get his leather from, but the leather itself doesn't have to be from Sweden per se. It's just the way that the leather is prepared, though. It has to be prepared in a specific way.
Not quite a champagne deal, more of an art form.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, not a champagne deal. The leather can be from anywhere. It just has to be the right type of leather.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think most cows will work for it, though. So.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And someone you mentioned in there was Stefan Lakatos. He was, you said, Moondog's protege. Did you get a chance to actually meet him and interact with him?
I did, yeah. So Stefan and I, we were really good friends from about 2019 until 2023. So when I was in college, I went to Moravian University. I was doing an independent study about Moondog's music, and I was already kind of doing this research privately. And my composition professor at the time caught wind of it and was saying, you should do a full-on project about this and get a college credit for it. So absolutely, I would love another college credit. So I began doing a more formal essay and kind of like a shortened biography about Moondog, an analysis of some of his vocal round music. And at the time I was doing my student teaching for my music education degree, so I actually created a unit of lessons to teach middle schoolers a second level for elementary education. When I finished this project, that was how I met Stefan. Throughout the process, I became affiliated with an archivist who worked closely with a lot of Moondog's original manuscripts that helped inform a lot of the information in the biography and the music analysis. And to revise the entire project, I sent the entire thing to Stefan, kind of had him go through, and we had a really long like Facebook Messenger call the first time we chatted with each other.
And so you know it's real.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it went on for like 3 hours or so, and it was a really cool call. And I remember I wanted to record the whole thing, but I didn't know how to screen record on my laptop, so I was recording it on my phone, and I only got like half of it. But we went through the whole project. He corrected some of my notation errors from the music that I was transcribing. He fixed up a few biographical details as well. And then the whole like lessons that were taught to the kiddos, he was just enamored by that because that's kind of out of his wheelhouse. But it was cool for us to do a lot of like talking back and forth of what that looked like. So we had a really good friendship that kind of started up after that. And then from there, I mean, in that call, I asked him a lot about the trimba and my interest in wanting to build a trimba and learn how to play it. At the time, I was just playing on a set of bongos with maraca and clave,
Wow.
and he did not want to teach me anything. He was very opposed to it. He was very protective of it, which came from Moondog, but we had a really nice friendship that started from 2019 and forward.
If you don't mind me asking, why is there such like a big protection around like Moondog style and who gets to play it?
It's interesting. There's when it comes to that, I would say like Moondog in himself was very particular about how his music was interpreted. He wanted it to be very much, musicians should play the notes that are written on the page. There is a quote from him where, as he would maybe work with some jazz musicians who might, enjoy the melody and they kind of riff on it a little bit, he would say things like, "Oh, is my music not good enough for you as is?" So it definitely kind of comes, I think, from that more like classical discipline kind of side of him. And also, as Stefan would talk about, it comes from a very personal point about the music from Moondog, where he would say that, it's really the way that he made order in a chaotic world. He was accidentally blinded at a young age. He had a pretty rough life throughout New York City, so music was a solace for him. It was a very sacred thing, and he wanted people, I think, to play it in that same way too. Now, kind of going into the era of Stefan, he had the same mindset of that if I'm going to play this music, I need to play it exactly how Moondog wanted. Because at the time that Moondog passed away in '99, that was still his philosophy up until his dying days. And who's to say that as he may have grown older, like if he would have had different opinions about how his music is interpreted, but that's kind of where like I think the sacredness kind of comes into that traditional interpretation. And Stefan really perpetuated that as well, because Moondog was protective about sharing how the trimba was built and played with other people, because he very similarly thought, people will take this instrument and go off into their own genres and do their own things, or they'll reinterpret the music, so I want to keep it to myself. Until he opened up to Stefan, and then very similarly, Stefan was the same way with me at first, where he was like, I'm anxious to share this because, and he also had another aspect to it too, where his whole living was being a trimbist. So I get it, I don't get it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where that kind of aspect of it comes from.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So
now on to the era of Julian. You've got 2 albums out right now. Non-Stop Motion, which I believe is a Julian Calv only album.
It's got Julian Calv and Moondog music on there.
Julian Calv and Moondog music.
Yes, yeah.
And then Solid Gold Timepiece, which is with Shagbarn, which is a band or a coalition?
Yeah, it's a collaboration project as a whole. So Shagbarn is kind of a group that's formed by me and Durwood Andrews. Durwood Andrews was a guitarist who played in the band Generation X. Billy Idol was the front man for that band before he went off and became Billy. So that Shagbarn Collective is kind of like a combination of Durwood's music network from his life, and then my music network from just my friends and people who I've met over the years as well.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So then what kind of do you bring, like when you play music like that, which kind of leans more, I guess, into rock with like that Generation X thing, do you try and bring like that style from that you've taken from Moondog into that, or do you feel like you're trying to play like the instrument you have within the genre?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my whole inspiration of what got me into Moondog initially was I loved the way his music sounded, and I wanted to learn how to write music in a very similar way. So I studied a lot of like his, melodic writing practices and harmonic and rhythmic practices too. And going to the Shagbarn project, the Solid Gold Timepiece album, that entire album actually began with, I just created a bunch of trimba tracks of me playing the drums by themselves and sent Durwood about 13 of these. And then from those 13, just rhythm alone, he started laying down various ideas. One song might have been a guitar riff, one might have been a bass riff, one could have been a keyboard, or maybe just like a drum kit over top of the trimba. And from there, it was a very natural, he would add a few things to the batch, he would send it back over to me, and I'd be like, I have some ideas here's some lyrics for this. Here's I have an idea for a guitar riff. I didn't play guitar much at the time, so I would sing different parts that I would want Durwood to play. I would send them back to him, and then he would work on them. And as we kept developing different parts of the project, like one of the songs, Road to Oblivion, one of Durwood's neighbors, he's a Spanish guitar player, and so he was like, this song would sound amazing if I had my neighbor play on it. So he went over to his neighbor's house, recorded the Spanish guitar parts. There's a great song, Brave Souls, and he had this beautiful recording of a Marine who was playing on the bagpipes. And this old recording that he took about 10-15 years ago just kind of sat perfectly into this song. So we threw that into that tune as well, and it was a very natural back and forth process. Now, a lot of what I would contribute, if there were lyrics or maybe piano parts or other rhythmic parts, that's definitely, since it comes from me, it kind of has that inherent Moondog aspect to it as well, because so much of what I base my musical language off of is from the musical language of Moondog, which to get even deeper, that comes from a lot of like medieval, Renaissance, Baroque writing practices with that contemporary rhythm edge to it.
No Gregorian chants though. I didn't hear many, long drawn out.
No, not in this one, but I love my Gregorian chants though.
Maybe the next one, when can people expect to see some more albums or recorded songs from Julian or Shagmore?
Definitely throughout time. I'm always working on different projects. And I mean, later this year, I am hoping to release, it is a strictly vocal project with trimba. There is a concert that we did at a correctional facility in southern Vermont in 2024, and we are creating a vinyl of that entire recording. We're hoping for it to come out later this year in the fall, but that is a combination of Moondog vocal rounds and original Julian vocal rounds as well. I feel their colors in my bones. Oh, granted fun, I can't ignore you. When the blossoms bear bright out, I feel their colors in my bones. Oh, granted fun. What are some themes that you why'd I put that there? You know what? This is a fun question anyway. What are some themes you enjoy writing about? I like to write a lot about the natural world, most initially, I would say. The natural world and nature. A lot of the music that I've written, a lot of different kinds of songs throughout the years, and I haven't performed and recorded a lot of them because a lot of it is kind of me exploring what I enjoy writing. But one main project I've been working on over the last, going on, almost 7 years, is The Trees and You and Me, which is a collection of vocal rounds that are all based off different arboreal emblems. So these are trees elected by nations, provinces, states, municipalities, as being symbolic of their community. So for example, like America, the oak tree is our arboreal emblem. Germany and England, they share the same one, which is the English oak. And so I have a vocal round that kind of puts into musical vocabulary different aspects of these trees. And it's a great way for me to kind of learn about these different trees individually, because I've always been someone who loves hiking and loves being outside, but I haven't deconstructed that green wall, as we say, where I really know everything that I'm looking at. So as I continue learning about different plants and things in the environment, I found music as a great way to kind of re-communicate my meditations out in the world. And then aside from that too, I've been playing a lot of guitar as of late, and a lot of my originals that I'll play on guitar, which sometimes they might start on the piano, is usually music about like friends and family, my girlfriend, so topics of like love and community above anything. I love taking stories and kind of reinterpreting them into like a fun and silly type of manner. And that kind of music is certainly very different, I think, from the more trimba-centric music, but definitely one of the themes I love writing on. So, nature, love, and mythology. Absolutely, I love to write about mythology too.
We're gonna get an Iliad album?
Maybe at some point, maybe an Iliad one. I don't know if I'm gonna be that ambitious, but definitely like I have a few like Greek myths that I've kind of made, a few pieces of music that are inspired by that, and then a few Native American myths as well that are inspired by that. But I definitely get a good dose of my mythology through doing Moondog's music, which is so based in a lot of like Norse cosmology and Scandinavian culture as well.
So maybe more about Thor than the Iliad.
Yeah, maybe.
So what are some current interests that you have in music, like current musicians or things that maybe aren't in the realm of Moondog?
Yeah, I kind of have like two worlds I'm going between right now. So honestly, I've been really into just like a lot of like classic rock music. I've been working as a stagehand for the band Angel, and being on the road with them has been a really fun experience. And they're like a glam rock band from back in the 70s, and they do a revival project with the original guitarist Punky Meadows and vocalist Frank Domino. And being able to like get to know them, my dad's been around that classic rock world his whole life, but I've never been super steeped in it or really interested to learn a lot more about it. But I mean, I've been listening to Angel will come on my shuffle. Some of the fans at the merch table have turned me on to a lot of other great bands from that era as well. Like I've always known about Judas Priest, but I've never really listened to the music before. Judas Priest opened for Angel back in the day. So all the fans are like, man, if you're here listening to these concerts, like you need to listen to Judas Priest. So they've been on my list. I've been listening to a band called Garbage as well, which is, around that scene and everything. So I'm kind of having a very backwards approach to this music I should have loved when I was younger and growing up. But yeah, like if CCR comes on my shuffle or The Doors, like I'm very much into that right now.
It'd be pretty cool. Some 80s glam rock, the trimba.
Yeah, all that hair as well.
Yeah.
Like, Moondog had a lot of hair too, so it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And then aside from that, like I am a piano teacher, so a lot of what my students are into as well is kind of some of the stuff I've been listening to. So Alex Warren is a singer-songwriter I've become more familiar with, and it's a very polished, very commercial sound, but I can still bop my head to it. And then the kids are always into like a lot of like video game music too, so they've been turning me on to some new tunes from some games I've never heard of, but it's great to listen to though. But yeah, no, a lot of rock, and then whatever the kids are listening to.
There you go.
Yeah.
What are so outside of music then, what were some of like your favorite TV shows or movies, other kind of genre medium things growing up that you were interested in that maybe influenced how you came into this, how you present yourself today?
I would say like movies. I definitely watched like a good amount of movies growing up, and we had a VHS player at my house, and then we switched to the DVD player. Now we have streaming. But my favorite movie has to be Interstellar, and I was really into it even before I knew who Hans Zimmer was, because this was all pre like music obsessed Julian. The movie was just so cool though, and I love space. I really had an idea of wanting to travel to space one day, so watching Interstellar was just such a cool visualization of that entire world. And the soundtrack was fantastic. When I started playing piano when I was in high school, I tried learning some of the songs by ear, and I had a lot of difficulty with it, but I was able to pluck out like the melody of I think it's Home is like the main theme from that soundtrack, and it's awesome. TV shows growing up, like I love SpongeBob, honestly. Like, it was probably one of my favorite. It was just goofy, it was silly, and I liked goofy, silly stuff on the TV. I liked watching my cartoons. As I got older, I think some other standout shows have to be Cowboy Bebop, was really awesome to watch. Yeah, love that.
Speaking of music and shows.
Absolutely, it's so good, and I recently found out that Kamasi Washington, who's an awesome saxophonist, he collaborated with the music for a new anime. It's called Lazarus. And I think that's very inspired by the Cowboy Bebop world. And I haven't seen it yet, but I want to. I don't know anything about the show, but I love Kamasi music, so I really want to listen to it and watch it too. But yeah, Cowboy Bebop was awesome. And then also my girlfriend and I watched The Sopranos. And that was just like, her family is Italian-Irish, and my family is very Italian. So it just like resonated with me in all the right ways.
You gotta connect to your heritage sometimes.
Exactly, yeah. And my great-grandfather, like when he first came here to America, he was originally a rum runner for Lucky Luciano, who was the head of 5 families. But he would just run rum during Prohibition. It was very he was very hands-off in every other way. But it's just cool being able to hear those stories about my pop growing up, and then I go to his house and play the organ. I had no idea, oh my gosh, you ran rum for your mom back in the day.
I wonder how he got all this stuff.
Yeah,
fell off the truck,
It could have. Yeah, but absolutely, yeah. Sopranos, Cowboy Bebop, Interstellar, SpongeBob. F is for Friends. Absolutely, F is for Friends. Okay.
So then, we're here for a show right now in New York, which, funnily enough, is where Moondog did a lot of his playing. But when or where can people expect to see you next, besides this weekend, which unfortunately you probably won't be able to see them because it already happened.
Yeah, and it's nice too. We're doing this here at Barb's. I'm going to be playing here in a couple hours, which will be nice. And so aside from that, later this year.
Hey, Ryan from the future here to say if you go to juliancalv.com, you can find all of his latest tour dates, as well as music and much more. Thanks so much.
And then after that, later in October, I'm going to be doing a project with the Tioga Arts Council in upstate New York in Tioga County. I'm going to be visiting Candor, where Moondog had a cabin and home throughout the 50s to 70s, to similarly do a conference and presentation up there and a concert. And we're going to do a whole weekend of it. Ambiguous date in October. It's not set in stone, but sometime in October.
So I'll include a link right here, right now, and in the description. So if you want to see more from Julian, follow his social media, download or purchase some of his music, you'll be able to follow it at the link right there. Thank you so much for listening to the Rhymes with Green podcast today. We got more episodes coming soon. Make sure you go listen to my previous episode with the very funny ventriloquist and comedian Gemini Lombardi. He's very, very funny. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.